What's good, everybody? It's Mike Reed, and welcome to My Life Ministries, where leadership, influence, faith, and evolvement are the principles that we look to live by every single day of our life. And by us living those principles, it helps us to help youth to become motivated young leaders who implement faith every day in their lives as well. Today, I just want to ask a question. How long will we continue to pray to God and ask Him for a miracle? But when he begins to release the miracle and he's requiring you to activate your miracle, we refuse to. You see, so many of us right now are waiting on God for a miracle to come into our life. And God has presented us with this miracle, and we see the miracle that's coming to pass. But there's a requirement that God has of us, and He's asking us to activate your miracle. See, we have to understand that sometimes before God gives us our miracle, He requires us to be still. And in that still place, that's a requirement for us to do nothing. That's just a place to where we rest in God. That's a place to where we stay in God. That's a place to where we are just quiet and we're just like, God, whatever you call me to do, I'm just going to do, but I'm going to sit here because you told me to be still. And then there becomes a moment to where the prayer that you've been praying for the miracle to come, God sits back and He says, okay, in this moment, I don't need you to be still. So in this moment, I need you to be active. And so now that He is requiring us to be active, we find ourselves being in fear because we are scared because being still became so comfortable. So we have to understand that we have to get out of this whole mindset of thinking that when God tells us to be still or God gives us a direction, that the direction is not going to change. And we got to make sure that we are ready to grow in the levels that He puts us on. You see, elevation is all about learning on one level, then you go to the next. And then once you get to this next level, you learn on this level. And then you go to the next, and then you learn on this level, and then you go to the next. Now, if you are not ready to be educated and learn and grow, then your elevation is not going to happen, because God is not just going to do something for you just because. That's not the way that God works. There are requirements in order to reap the benefits that God has for you. There are requirements in order to reap the miracles that God has for you. Yes, He promised them. Yes, He's going to give them to us. But when God gives us a direction and He tells us that it's time for us to activate our miracle, we have to move so that that miracle can be activated and that miracle can come to pass. So we have to understand that when God has given us that direction, why are we being stagnant? Why are we procrastinating? And then we sit back and we blame God because we say, Lord, I've been waiting, I've been waiting, I've been waiting. Yes, you have been waiting. But at this moment, God is telling you that it is time for you to activate your miracle. You have to understand that your actions will always produce great results. They will always produce great results, especially if your actions are being led by God. If they are being led by God, they're guaranteed to reach the results that God has for you because God is the one that is guiding you. God is the one that is directing you. But you cannot be afraid to activate the miracle that you have been praying for. So many of us right now are not receiving the things that God has for us, and we're missing the time frame that God wants to bless us with because He's putting it in front of us and He's giving us directions to say activation, activation, activation. And I'm here to let you know that God is telling you that it is time to activate your miracle. It is time for you to get going. It is time for you to move. It is time for you to stop procrastinating and move forward in what He is calling you to do. Because if you do not move forward, if you are not obedient with being active, if you are not obedient with activating what you have been praying for by stepping into the lane that God has called you to step into, your miracle is not going to happen. God, He calls us to do things in order for things to come. It's not just Him giving us. We're not the ones to where we sit back and we say, Lord, I'm going to just seek your hand. I'm going to seek your hand and I want and give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. That's not how God works. We seek His face. And as we seek His face in prayer and we are obedient to His direction and we are obedient to His instruction, His miracles, they begin begin to flow on us in time. But in order for that miracle to come to pass, sometimes God sits back and he says, hey, it's time for you to be active. It's time for you to activate. So you cannot allow fear to destroy your faith. You cannot allow fear to destroy any progress. You cannot allow fear to destroy anything that God is telling you. Because once fear comes into place, that fear, it comes and it cripples you. And you do not want that fear to cripple you. So I'm here to let somebody know, and I'm here to encourage somebody that God is telling you that it is time to activate your miracle. That thing that you have been waiting for, God is telling you it's time to activate it. It's time to go. It's time to move. Stop holding back. Go after it. Go get it. Trust in God. You have been praying for it, and God is putting it right in front of you, and you are sitting there and you are just staring at it because you are so comfortable when God gave you the instruction of being still. Because still and being still, it requires nothing of you. That just requires you to sit there and allow God to do all the work. But God is telling you right now, he needs you to activate your miracle. Don't waste another day trying to sit back here and just let God do it by himself. God has brought you to a place. He's brought you to a place to the point to where it's time for you to begin to walk. It's time for you to activate it. It's time for you to move in destiny's steps. And you have to move in that direction. You have to keep going. You have to keep walking, and you can't let nothing stop you. You can't let nothing stop you at all. So don't let fear cripple you. Don't let fear keep you back anymore. Walk into your miracle. Activate your miracle. Activate your miracle. This is the day. This is the moment. This is the time that God has for you. So you have to activate it. Keep God first and trust in God in everything that you're doing. Because if you don't, your miracle is going to pass you by. Because God, he works in time. And there's the perfect time for God to bless you with what you've been praying for. So don't miss that window being stagnant. Don't miss that window procrastinating. Don't miss that window due to fear. Don't miss that window because you act like you don't know when God is putting it in front of you. What you prayed for is there, so walk in it. What you prayed for is here, so walk in it and activate your miracle and watch what God does. Trust him, believe in him, and I promise you that he's going to take care of you and do everything that he's supposed to do. So you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.